What's your name, sir?
My name is Dr. Ben.
So the question I have is what are the flags for? Can you explain to us, please, because people need to know what is behind the Arab flags.
Well, it's a good thing you said Arab flags because it's not really Arab flag. It's actually an English flag.
Are they? How comes? Everyone known as Arab flag. This is Sudani flags, right? I'm not sure. This is Jordan, right? This is Palestine. This is Sudanese as well. Is that independent? All that. So what is that? What is behind? And it says scrap Sudan. What is it all about? We need to understand it. People need to know what's going on.
Well, as the famous President Trump once said, watch out for fake news. You have to be careful of things that are projected onto the world stage as if they're true when they're not. When you dig deeper, you find, oh, is this really what's going on? Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this man here. His name is Lieutenant Colonel Mark Sykes.
Mark Sykes.
Yeah, Sykes. Very famous British lieutenant colonel in the British Army in the First World War.
Yes, go on. Who is he?
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Sykes was a British Army officer based in Britain, obviously. In the First World War, there were two competing sides, the Axis under Germany's leadership, and then the Allies of Britain, and then America joined in to help the Brits. So in about 1915, the British were concerned that the Ottoman Empire, which is where Turkey is today, would join Germany, and that would be a disaster to end the war. Okay, many people's lives have been killed every day, since 1914. So Lieutenant Colonel Mark Sykes was also an archaeologist and an historian. So he said, let's find out if the Arabs in the Hijaz, which is what we now call today Yemen and Saudi Arabia, would join the British and the Allies to fight against Turkey. So he sent out messages to the various Arab peoples in charge of areas, especially in Sudan, in what we call Saudi Arabia today. So they responded positively. Now, in order to gain their favor, he designed this flag, which is what the Arabs call the Arab flag. But it's not actually an Arab flag. It's actually designed in Great Britain by a British man, this guy here, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Sykes. So he designed the flag in order to get the support of the Arabs in the Middle East to come and fight Turkey on the British side. And that was in 1916. Okay? Now, what has always amazed me is that, Jordan was first of all called Transjordan, and then became the country called Jordan. And the king of Jordan was not Jordanian. He's actually from Iraq, the Hashemites. That is their family history, okay? The family history of this family is that they became kings in different parts of the Middle East. Not just, one of the family actually went to Egypt, another went to Syria, but this one actually went to Jordan. So Jordan is that their family line all the way back to what is now called Saudi Arabia. Okay, so question, why the different flags? They're not the same, but all the flags are the same. Same colors, in fact, most of them in same areas. The only difference between the Jordanian flag and the PLO flag is the little star. Otherwise, exactly the same. So, why is this? Very simple. These flags are telling you that we are the same people, Arabs. Okay? So if you call yourself Palestinian, as I was asking people earlier on, there's never been a country called Palestine. Yasser Arafat, the Hamas, and the PLO have all said the same thing. There's never been a Palestinian state. We made it up in order to fight Israel. So we needed a flag. So they said, great, the British invented this flag, let's take it and use it. And that's the story of the Arab flag, so-called. It's actually an English flag from Britain. Now, in a country called Sudan, the north of Sudan, because it's split into two, when it was one country, north and south, one country, Sudan, ruled in Khartoum. In 1956, Sudan gained independence. So there was an Arab Muslim in Sudan who designed the new flag for independent Sudan. And it's a lovely flag, yellow, blue, and green. Yeah, lovely flag, right? And it's neutral. It is not the same as this flag, the Arab flag. And the reason why the Arab guy designed this is, look, we want a country where people live in peace with one another. And he was right. And that's good. So that's why it's yellow, blue, and green. Blue for the River Nile, green for vegetation, and yellow, I think, for the natural resources of Sudan. But in 1970, the Arabs who control Khartoum in the government said, no, we don't like this flag. So what did they do? They went back to the English flag called the Arab flag. And that's what you have today. So it's telling you that these guys want everything Arabic, not African. Let me ask you this. Where does the word Sudan come from? It's not Arabic. It's not English. It's not French. It's not African. It's Arabic. But before the word Sudan came from the Arabs, right, what countries used to be there in what we call Sudan? There were 3 countries, Makuria, Soba, and Nobatia. These 3 countries had been there for centuries, okay? And these 3 countries were actually Christian countries. But when the Arabs invaded, took over Egypt under General Amir al-As in 626 AD, then they said, oh, let's go to Morocco, Mauritania. And then they said, oh, let's go south. So they went in what was called Makuria, Nobatia, and Soba. And then afterwards, they changed the name to Sudan, the land of the blacks. Because that's what Sudan means. But Sudan is not an African word. It's Arabic. From the Arab language, right? So my question to all these guys in Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, whatever, I say, look, why do you follow an Englishman's flag? Don't you have the brains to have your own flag? All the African countries in the 1960s, Gabon, Ghana, Kenya, Zambia, Malawi, etc., they all designed their own flags. They said, we're now independent from Britain, from France, from Germany, so we have our own flag. So why is it the Arab countries, they want to follow an English flag and not their own? And it's boring. They're all the same flags are the same. This tells me that their mind is colonial. They're not thinking as independent people. They may tell you something, but in practice you can say, this story tells you something different. It's very simple and straightforward. Other people ask the same question. Why are you flying the same flag? You say you're from Yemen. You say you're from Syria. You say you're from Lebanon. But it's the same flag. That doesn't make sense.
So my question is it not too late now, right, to replace those flags with another ones?
I wish they would. I would design one for them. Each one of these countries, I'll say, employ me and I'll do the flag for you. I'll give you a brilliant flag that's about your country, not about Britain designing it for you. Right? Simple. It doesn't take a genius. All you do is say, let's have a competition. Right? I mean, look at the original one in Sudan. Lovely, isn't it? Yeah. And I think some people in Sudan want to get this flag back now. Because they can see the history, say, why is it that these countries want us to become like Arabs? We are Africans. Why do you want to force Arabic things on us? We are an African continent. Do you know if you go to Egypt, there's an Egyptian embassy I've been to right here in London, Knightsbridge. I went there a few months ago. I said, guys, why do you call Egypt the Arab Republic of Egypt? Why don't you call the African Republic of Egypt? You know what the answer was? They said, please don't ask that question. It's too dangerous. These are people in the embassy. They were scared. They said, no, don't ask, please, just leave. So I left. And on the outside of the embassy, you can see there's a sign. Welcome to the Arab Republic of Egypt. So that is, but Egypt is an African country. The pharaohs were Africans. The history is African, not Arabic. But the Arabs came as colonialists, like the French, like the British later on. But the only difference is the British came back to Britain. The French went back to Paris. But the Arabs stayed. And because they've stayed for such a long time, they think Egypt, Morocco, Mauritania, Sudan belongs to them. But they should say, actually, we've done the same thing as the French or the English. So we must be honest. But they don't want to be honest. Which to me doesn't make sense, right? It's and I find these people, they tell lies. So that's my take about all this flag business. So
those flags designed by a British man called say no. Okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't know it until like I've just saw it now. I'm like, what is that? Like, I mean, yeah, that's why I came to ask you.
Well, even the Arabs themselves, they don't know this. And they get angry when they see this because they're shaking. They say, how can it be? But somebody tricks you for over 120 years. It's not nice. It's not nice when somebody tricks you. But then once you realize this, you should say, let's do something about it. That's positive. But they don't want to. They're scared. And that's not good. It's not healthy. When we do things wrong, we acknowledge it. We say we're sorry. We're wrong. Now, you see this flag here? That's an Israeli flag. Arabs don't like it. But this flag is about praying to God. This blue stands for the sky, heaven. And the white, it says you must be holy. And the star is a star of David, the kingdom of God, of Messiah Jesus. So the flag is not about war like this one, but about prayer. So when they're fighting this flag, I say, why do you want to fight a flag that's about praying? When Jewish men pray, they cover themselves with what they call a talit. It's a shawl, like this flag. And that's where the flag came from, prayer. Not about fighting.
So I've got another question, if you don't mind. Let me stop the video
The blood, lintels and doorposts, so the Christian